I would like to see some gameplay.
I'm
Yeah,
on board.
yeah. It's like I would like to see some actual gameplay. At first, because we all know the internet has a memory of a goldfish, so it's like.
Or something like that. I was like, oh
Exactly.
shit! Here it comes.
And it. Hey!
Are we recording, Craig?
Just gotta give him the old taser. Wake up, Craig.
I swear, no one knows our struggle with you, Craig. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's been a little while again. Also my fault. But it is episode 78 of the Retro Rents, and I am Al.
I'm Nick.
Oh, man. What is new?
Oh man, it feels like a lot of time's passed, but at the same time, like not much is new.
Yeah, it seems to be the story of things these days. I mean, it may not be new. There's a lot of new on my end. We talked about. I was in the process, but I actually, since the last episode, at least for sure, I worked my last day at GitHub. Just had some frictions there that was over the past few months just making it not fun like it used to be, and just I'll just try to be professional and just say it was very hard to come to work every day.
Sure.
And it was the dream job, which kind of makes that all the more depressing. But it actually turned out my first manager from GitHub reached out to me. The company he's at now, which is called HubSpot. They make a really awesome CRM system. And he's like, I could really use my force multiplying TPM. Of course.
Ring a ding 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 ding.
No. So I went through the interview process, nailed it. So much so that I hear there are other organizations that want to steal me away inside the company. It's like, nope, I'm sticking here. But yeah, I started this week. I had a nice 2 weeks off with my family. Just spent time with the girls, Am and the girls. We went to the lake. We went to a nice little cabin getaway up here.
Nice.
Which, I don't know if you saw the pictures of one part of this trip, Nick, but I was pretty much thinking of you the whole time, and no, it wasn't at night in the bedroom.
Oh my.
Oh my. No, so we went up to a place called Lake Ariel, Pennsylvania, and it's about an hour from where I live.
Okay.
Kind of going north. Nice little, the cabin we stayed at was actually owned by friends of ours up the road, and it's their Airbnb, so we stayed. It's a really nice house, really cool layout. It was perfect size for me, Em, and the girls. But, one of the first things I do whenever we're going someplace new, I look for restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been on a bit of a depression because I have not had good German food since the Edelweiss closed.
Oh man, that's been closed for years now, hasn't it?
Years. A place you and I knew very, very well.
Oh yes.
It was one of those Black Forest Inn style German places. Like they literally could have plucked it out of the middle of Germany and dropped it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the owners were, born and bred in Germany, started their restaurant over here, kind of thing, and it was running the family for years. And just unfortunately, I guess one of the last people in the family that wanted to run it died, and it closed. But I think Nick will attest it was some of the best German food ever.
Hands down.
So, back to the Edelweiss. Wonderful food. Old favorite of ours. And so I found this German place up in Lake Ariel called the Nürnberger Bierhaus. Spelled Bierhaus. So I knew it was authentic. But actually, it was. They had a really cool outdoor beer garden sitting area.
Nice.
They had the inside, which looked very familiar to the Edelweiss, so a little bit more open, whereas Edelweiss I think was a little more cozy, but that was fine. Like this really worked. But the food, they had everything, dude. The only thing they didn't have was a Monte Cristo.
That could be forgiven.
But they had everything else. They had the Jaeger Schnitzel, Wiener Schnitzel. Amber had a veal goulash that was to fucking die for. I tried their house-made bratwurst for an appetizer. It was amazing and just goes to show you how much Johnsonville has left to learn. Johnsonville brats. And what did I have for dinner? Oh, and for dinner, I know you were, I think, pretty fortunate enough to come over around the holidays at least once and have my mom's German rouladen. Yeah, I ordered that there, and it's the first one I've ever had that's as good as her rolled up thin slices of beef with bacon wrapped around a pickle and mustard. And it had the potato dumpling. I could have fucking like died. I was just like, I want this for my last meal. And then, of course, I had to get a nice Dunkelweiss beer, which came in one of the long, tall, thin ones. And I'm like, nah, wait. I can't leave here without doing it right. So I got a nice Hofbrau original that came in the giant skull-caving mug. And just enjoyed the hell out of it. I highly recommend it if you're ever up in that area. It's not a huge place, but it's real cozy. And it's in a really small town. Like, Lake Ariel is not a big town at all. And it's just one of those, like, oh, shit. I just wish this was closer. I'd be here every day. But the menu was great. It was probably, one of those 2 or 3 page menus. And it was just all authentic, homemade German food. It was out of this world. Like, even the girls had hot pretzels. And they were homemade, fresh out of the fryer. But yeah, so there's that. And then I started my new job this week. Been doing a lot of onboarding, which, this is part of the gig.
Yeah, typical thing.
But it's really teaching me a lot about the product. It's a super cool product. Like, I'm actually really charged about, like, we get a version for free. We get the product if we work there. It's like one of the perks. And it's super cool. It's one of those, like, I could use this for the podcast. So... yeah, I'm just, I'm enjoying the onboarding. My manager's already kind of concocting some schemes where my sunshiny influence can come in and really make an impact. He's really cool about, helping me build, my influence there like he did at GitHub. And I'm really looking forward to pretty much next week when we really start kicking the tires.
Digging in. Nice.
Digging into the work and stuff. I mean, the onboarding is really awesome. And it's really, like, it's a lot, but it's one of those... it's really structured, it's really targeted, and it's super useful. Whereas, I'd say in my previous employer, it was kind of, you're almost thrown to the wolves. And it's just kind of a surf the repos, figure it out. So it's been a really good experience so far. Very similar atmosphere, very similar culture, very empathetic, awesome people that just want to help and, set everybody up for success. So I'm already very happy. I can't wait to see, what happens there. But so yeah, I had a busy couple weeks. It sounds like yours, life-wise, were kind of quiet.
Yeah, pretty chill.
Cool. So what have you been doing on the video games front?
On the video games front, I don't know where we left off last time, but Tribes of Midgard finally came out.
We talked about it last time. You were scanning this game.
Yes. And it still awesome. I'm loving the hell out of it. Now I've got like the patterns down and whatnot. It's actually a whole lot of fun. I mean, not that it wasn't fun, but it's like, oh, now I try to play in certain ways, and I really dig it. I really dig it. It's like it's good little fun. Also played the Back for Blood beta.
What did you think? I didn't get a chance.
So I think it's weird because like initially it's like, oh yeah, this is a ton of fun. It like brought back all the Left 4 Dead fun, because I mean it is the same company. So they very much capitalize on that same formula. But as I played it more, then I realized that, like, and maybe because like they're in beta, maybe it would probably be something I can easily balance out. But basically, playing on easy, I mean, granted they only had like basically I think 2 chapters for the beta, understandable. But you played through it and on easy, and then it was almost too easy. It was just like, okay, like, it's very hard to like mess things up on easy mode. So it's like, okay, let's crank it up to medium. And as soon as you hit medium, it's like hitting a cliff wall. Like basically you go from just like, normal shambling zombies to like there's these special zombies, much like, in Left 4 Dead, there's like the burster and the witches and things like that. Well, well, all these sudden these specials like come out of nowhere. There's birds and these other things that will trip off, a zombie horde, which are, obviously much more difficult. And like the difficulty levels, like hitting a cliff wall. It's not like an easy step up to like, oh, okay, mediums, like it's going to get a little harder. No, it was like a lot harder. Yeah. So like, hopefully they'll iron that out. Cause I didn't even want to attempt to hard. I did watch some people play hard, and that's even more insane. Like people like basically like easy, you can kind of run and gun and just have some fun. Medium, you almost had to crawl, and then like, I watched people play hard, and like you were fighting for inches just to move forward. I mean, it's just like I appreciate a difficult game, but I'd like they need to like, a little more gradual slope, I think. Other than that, it was actually a whole lot of fun. Give you a whole wide range of weaponry. They have kind of a new card system. So unlike Left 4 Dead, which had like kind of storytelling points and you could kind of see them coming.
Right.
They kind of set up things in Back 4 Blood similar but different. So like there's specific choke points, like you have to unblock like a roadblock or something, like use a tow truck or make something loud, to go past certain intervals. But everything in between is all up to you. So you can avoid most of like these horde rushes if you play very, very carefully. Okay. And then you have all these benefit cards that you can gather over time and buy them and whatnot. They give you like special powers. So like, more stamina, you reload faster, you melee with a knife instead of like your fists. And so when you play, you basically have this deck of cards you can draw from, or rather you set up. So it draws it in order. So you can even set up the order in which you receive the cards. And so the longer you play, the more cards you'll unlock in your playthrough. And so it actually has a whole new dynamic. So you can, I wouldn't say there's necessarily classes per se, but certainly with the cards, you can set up like, okay, I'm going to be the medic this round. So I'm going to take all these medic based cards of like, healing people when I get them up. If people are down, suddenly there's a healing pulse for the team. And, there's stuff that's like individual cards. And then there's other ones where the cards benefit the entire team. So it's like there's a ammo for the entire team card. So you draw that and suddenly everyone's carrying more ammo. So a lot of dynamic stuff to it. I think it boils down to, and I was kind of like, as I was going through and playing with people, like they're almost the same consensus. Like it is coming on Game Pass. I don't know if I would pay full price for this if it wasn't on Game Pass. Like it would probably again, like if you're really into the Left 4 Dead series and it's like this is your bread and butter and you were looking for that same feeling.
You've already got a pre-order.
Yeah, you probably already pre-ordered. That's your alley. For me, it's like I know I'm gonna be casually playing it. It's gonna be a great pickup with 3 other people rather.
Yeah, and
I would have a hard time because I think it's like the full $60-$70 price tag of the game these days. I don't know if I could justify doing that out of the gate. Like it'd probably be like, again, I'm gonna pick it up via Game Pass because Game Pass is awesome. Microsoft give us $1, please.
Yeah, here you
go. But yeah, like outside of that, like if Game Pass option wasn't available, then I would probably wait for a sale. Only because again, like it's only multiplayer. Like there's no like single player story campaign. There's no I say reason to play outside of either like a group or at least you're willing to put up with a pug or something.
Yeah, but
yeah, like I don't know, it's just something about it. Like, and again, nothing super detracting outside of like just simple balance stuff. But it's just like I don't know if I could justify a full head on price for this thing out of the gate.
It's one of those, like, if it was in the Squadron's price range.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and it's weird to say because Left 4 Dead back in the day was I believe a full, it was a 50 or 60 at the time,
and it was a genre changer for
oh
sure.
yeah, it was definitely like leading, but it's also, I mean, granted, it is the same company that made Left 4 Dead, but it's like, okay, we've had this before, and obviously the game is relatively new. I've seen this comment brought up before, like the old Left 4 Dead, I think 1 and 2 have a lot of mods that are available now. Now that doesn't mean that Back 4 Blood won't get mods eventually. I'm sure it will.
Sure.
But it's like you got a little more runway on this older thing, and it's like it's weird to say that, like, I almost feel like it should be cheaper because you're not, and again, maybe they have more chapters, like, but if they go the Left 4 Dead route, I mean, we're talking 5, maybe 6 chapters at launch, and then maybe they'll do DLC, but I don't think we've even seen a roadmap yet. So
no.
So it's just that's from my perspective on it. Like, again, I would say if you have it via Game Pass, like, I would say hands down worth the download. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. But I would say full price, like, I don't know. For me, it would be borderline between full price and wait for sale, only based on, like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for this awesome zombie shooter with, like Left 4 Dead's? Like, okay, sign yourself up. If you're kind of on the fence or you got something else on the horizon, you're gonna, because I think it's launching in November, December, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's coming up real soon.
Yeah. And it's like, if you have something else going on at the time, it's like, you know what, just wait for the sale.
Yeah, and you were playing this other one that caught my eye today, I see on the notes, this Last Oasis.
Yes, Last Oasis. So Last Oasis has been out for a while. It's another kind of survival game a la like Conan, Ark, those types of survival style games. Yeah. But I got kind of a press ganged, if you will, into some a RP server called the Dark Side RP. It's a pretty big community on Twitch, and they do all sorts of like these role play servers for like Atlas, and I think they have a Conan one. But basically they just spun up a new one for Last Oasis, and I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'll give it a try with some other gaming buddies, Krieger and all them.
Yeah,
you play with them, and I'm actually having a lot of fun. I don't think I would have played this game outside of the RP server because the vehicles in it are super cool. Don't get me wrong; like they're based off of I forget what they're called, but basically called beach walkers, and it's like this very stylized mechanical thing, and obviously they take it to the next level, and it's designed to be in the stories like this is an apocalypse. Basically, the Earth stops spinning on its axis, so basically lands are being cooked, and the ocean's gone and lands are just being cooked, so you're constantly having to outrun the sun over time. So tiles will come and go as the Earth still orbits the sun rather, but it doesn't spin anymore. So that's the simple premise. And other than that, it's just it's your standard survival mechanics, but it's hilarious, because we've done this, like we're doing like this cult of the water thing, so we're like constantly giving out water to everyone, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, we praise the water god. Here, have some water. Do not let your brow sweat.
Oh, that is so funny.
And it's just totally chill and relaxing, and it's a lot of fun. So it's like, okay, it's like I'm playing the game and like enjoying it alongside the RP, and it makes it worthwhile.
That's awesome. I'll have to look into that one.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Now, what about yourself?
Well, I've been I started playing right before I left my last job. Legend of Heroes: Trails of Cold Steel. It's a JRPG I've had in my Steam library forever. I started playing it a long time ago, got a little lost / overwhelmed, wasn't sure, what to make of it. And then after I had played that, I played the Persona games and really got into those. And then I realized that this had a lot of those same mechanics. So I grabbed a walkthrough just because I figured, like, when it comes to games like this, usually And this game's no different. So like you play a student at a military academy in a world where you're, well, you're assigned to this class that is specifically meant to test these special units called Arcus. And it's basically, they're powered by quartz, read materia, Final Fantasy VII kind of deal.
Gotcha. Okay.
That give you different abilities, different powers, and different buffs depending on, all the ones you have equipped. Like the master ones can level, and they determine a main set of powers. Really cool system. But anyway, so your class is meant to test those, and it's a specialized program at this military academy. So you're all students, you're teenagers, and you have basically like class days and mainly there's 3 different phases. It's a ton of story. It's a ton of story and a ton of world building. It's the best world building in any game that I've ever played, and one of the best stories I've ever experienced. Like, it's replaced Chrono Trigger as my number 1.
Oh.
So, yeah, this is no joke, and it's epic. Like, it's long. I mean, you can look at my Steam time. I think I put about 110 hours into my save before I beat it. And so you have like these practical exam days where, you're quizzed by your instructor, and it's basically like, a mini boss fight or something. And it'll have like conditions, like you can't use items or whatever. And the goal is to get these, I think they're called activity points or AP, and those add up throughout the semester. So like different things you do will award those. So there's that day. And then there's your free days. And this is where I got overwhelmed the first time I played it, where you have like an entire day just to like hang out with your friends, go around the town, and do like quests and side quests for people around the town. Again, this is very school focused in the first game. You're at this academy. And so I followed a walkthrough so I could see like, oh, you should get, if you like this character, you should get bonding points with them. And so like you go and you get like 2 bonding points, and you can only choose like 2 of 5 characters. The point being is it tries to, coax you to play a new game plus to see the other, events and storylines and shit. But that all plays together in that the more you do that, you build up link experience with these other characters, because you'll go on the free days. One of the last things you'll do as part of your, day is you have this old schoolhouse that you're sent to investigate. There's like the main academy, and then like off the back path is this old schoolhouse that the principal tasks your class specifically with investigating. And it's weird because it changes. Like you hear like the floor shake and stuff, and it turns out like rooms are, opening up and changing, and like each free day you explore a floor of this thing. And so when you go on stuff like that, you'll build up this link experience, which will then unlock powers that those 2 characters can use together in combat. And you'll fight usually with a party of 4 people. Mm-hmm. So like you'll link up through your Arcus, you'll pick a character to link up with. And if you have a lot of link experience with them, the story thing is like, your minds are linked because of your Arcus, and like you'll attack and score a critical hit. And then you can hit a button, and then that character can come in and take a jab while the creature is stunned. So it's got a really neat strategic combat to it. It's not just a typical turn-based combat. Like there's definitely some thought involved in how you want to do it. But the core of this game, what I really fell for, aside like the bonding events and getting to know the characters, which every single character, and this is where I think as a JRPG this really stood out for me, because I think a lot of JRPGs will do like, oh, here's a bunch of characters, and really you only like that you could play as or have in your party, but it really only ever focuses on like 5 or 6, and you never really get to, unless you specifically force yourself, you won't really get to know those other characters. What this game does is you'll then go on what they call field studies, and the instructor will split the class into 2 groups, and it will be with usually a different set of characters for every field study. So you are going to be grouped with characters. You may, like, you'll play through the first field study and be like, yeah, these are my buds, and, like, we're building link experience. And, like, you really start to like these characters. And then it'll come time for the next field study, and you've got, almost a completely different set because you're a class of 14. So it's like you'll have these other characters with you, and where I thought the world building was so masterful, and even in the story sense, is that they're sending you on these field studies to specific parts of the world for two reasons. One, each of your classmates are from a different caste. Some are nobles, some are just commoners. Some live in one lives out in the highlands of the country, and the other was raised in the big city. And like they each have really believable personalities and perspectives. And like you're basically going to one of their homelands for each field study, and like getting to know that part of the world. And as you're doing these field studies, which are basically like quests and tasks that are kind of similar to your free day, but it's specific to the area and problems that those people are having, you start uncovering that like, oh wow, there is a big, bad, much larger world out there with its own problems that you were kind of sheltered from at school and your life at home. And you start learning like, oh, there's like a possible war building up here, and this nation, the commoners and the nobles are really clashing on who should be what. Like it's so in depth and so great, and like each character is so incredibly written. Like it's all I played for about 3 weeks until I beat it. Like I could not put this game down. And finally beat it, and like, man, the way that game ends, it's like I'm so glad I started playing this now, because there's 4 of them at this point.
Oh no.
And like if I was playing this along, like this is like a Netflix binge worthy kind of game story where I was like, fuck, I immediately just jumped right into part 2, and it basically takes place immediately where the first one ends. Which again, neat for a JRPG series, that it just doesn't abandon like all the characters you've gotten to know. And so it's like you're following these characters through the first game, which is school and learning about the world and what's really happening around them. And then the second game, like shit's gotten real, and it's real dark, and it's a totally different setting. And it's so masterful how they're telling it, even in the second game, where you're like, fuck, this is good. I highly recommend it if you're just looking for a nice, chill, granted, albeit epic RPG to play, like to really get into a good story and an awesome in-depth world with tons of history and character and people, that it's just so believable. It's not like, oh, you're here to save the world and you're the chosen one. It's like, no, you're just a fucking bunch of kids trying to do the right thing. Like, it's so cool, man. It's so cool.
Sounds like a well-built world then.
It's the best built world I've seen in a game, hands down.
Nice.
It's awesome. So I've been playing that, and I started on the second one, and then in the past 2 days, on my lunch break, I started playing Mount & Blade Bannerlord again. Big mistake. That game is way too fucking addicting for someone like me. But yeah, it's the new Mount & Blade game. I believe it's pretty real. It's really far along development. It was a great game last year. It's even better now. So it's like, wow, damn. I have to play this one now and see all the new shit. And I really like it. So I highly recommend it. If you haven't played it yet, you'd probably like it if you like the concept of the Mount & Blade games, like big army combat and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's done better than the predecessors, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, that's what I've been playing. I saw some interesting news today that I wanted to highlight that really caught my eye. Did you see Marvel Midnight Suns?
I did. We didn't get much gameplay out of it, but it's like, okay, Firaxis, and apparently it is a tactical, not shooter, but tactical strategy.
Tac strat, yeah.
And it's like, okay, I would like to see some game.
I'm on board.
Yeah, it's like I would like to see some actual gameplay. At first, I thought it was like they were setting it up as a kind of like another like Mortal Kombat, but Marvel. The way they just like characters coming out of nowhere, it's like everywhere.
Which would have been a bummer because we've seen that already.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and I started to tune out. That was the thing. It's like, oh, this looks like just another fighting game or something. Just characters left, right, and center. But it was like, and then I saw Firaxis. Like, wait, what?
What? You have my attention.
You have my attention. I would like to see some gameplay, please. I don't think we got it. I don't know if we're gonna get it during Gamescom, but
I don't know. I have to keep a close eye on that, though.
Yeah.
But I like anything Firaxis.
Oh yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll definitely be keeping our eye on that one. And then you had two interesting points here before we get to release highlights that I was pretty blown away by this week.
Yes. So first one is the Marvel What If series is out. Or rather, I think we're up to episode. Actually, I think third one comes out. Is it tonight or tomorrow? Tonight.
I haven't watched this yet. This is Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, Marvel What If.
Yeah. So if you don't know the premise, basically it's literally asking the question, "What if?" And goes into this. Like, have you? Well, let me back up. Have you seen Loki yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, without getting spoiler of that, like basically, I'd say almost since like the end of the Endgame, Avengers Endgame. So they kind of open up the multiverse more or less within the at least the MCU, the concept of the multiverse, I should say. And really, almost all these shows, Loki, and absolutely What If, run with this kind of these multiverse timelines. Even and we'll get to it. The Spider-Man trailer kind of runs with the same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say Spider-Man. The Spider-Man trailer did that. Even WandaVision touched on it a little bit.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, absolutely. So they're I don't know what phase we're in. Phase 4. I don't know.
Yeah, they're definitely. I think starting to open the door to the whole multiverse thing.
Yeah. So phase 4 very much seems to be like incorporate the multiverse into the story. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just an interesting observation. But anyway. Yeah. Back to it. What if? So it's all animated, and basically asking the question of like, what if this happened? And so, like the very first episode out of the gate, which really set the pace. Basically, it's like, what if Peggy Carter became Captain Carter? So she, obviously wouldn't be Captain America because she was British, but so she ends up, getting the super soldier serum, and has this like great like British uniform instead of like the American uniform, and it adds the so basically it almost like. It's in not to say rewrites is like a lot of people think that like, oh, this is rewriting everything. No, it's like
it's multiverse.
This is just like a what if we had this story instead. So basically you get all of Captain America, the first Avenger, right? Is the very first one, right? With Captain America, right? Or whatever the first one was called. Such a Marvel fan, I know. But basically they take the whole premise of that movie and compress it down into I think like 45 minutes worth, and go with basically like what happens if Peggy Carter becomes the super soldier, and Steve Rogers is still in it, and they explain that he's just not Captain America, and so they go through this whole thing, and they even like tie it into like how would Avengers 1 start.
I gotta watch this. I love the sound of this.
I haven't watched the second episode, but I know Chadwick Boseman, that is his last acting credit, because that was when he was suffering, I think it was from cancer, I believe it was.
Yeah, I think it was colon cancer.
Yeah, and he loved doing the Black Panther so much that he like, what, I'll come in and do voice lines for the Black Panther in the What If episode. And I think that was episode 2. So I haven't watched that one yet. But yeah, that's basically I think his last acting credit before he died. So yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, so I'd highly recommend it. Like the first episode hooked me, and I think it's coming out basically like I think every week on, I want to say Wednesdays. But yeah, on Disney Plus if you have it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And then and like I said, the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer dropped. Holy crap.
This looks interesting. Like this one I think really is bringing, I mean it's bringing the multiverse in, because like you get that quote from Strange after Peter fucks up the spell and he's like, we know very little about the multiverse or something like that. Oh shit, here it comes. And
it's like bringing in everything. We saw Doc-Oc, Alfred Molina reprising his role as Doc-Oc on screen. We got Green Goblin's laugh. So is William Dafoe gonna be?
I think so.
So
Jesus Christ, if they can make Doc-Oc look younger again.
Oh, I know, right? And he's such an underrated actor too. It's like why don't we see him in more stuff?
I know, dude. Like Alfred Molina, especially. Like he was in what was it? Pan's Labyrinth? Was he in that too?
I don't know. I think he was.
Didn't he play the
Been a while since I've seen
officer
that.
slash the dad or whatever?
I don't think. It may have been someone else.
I'm just gonna look to be sure.
Look it up. I want to say he may have been in it, but I don't think he was one of the family members.
It wasn't.
No, oh, it wasn't. Okay.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't him. But I mean, yeah, like anything I've ever seen. Oh no, he is in it. He is, I think, unless I'm just losing my mind. But yeah, like I mean,
consult the IMDb.
You and I both know the first thing we ever saw him in, which was
Indiana Jones,
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep. And that was always one of those that was him, because I think in my collective memory, basically him as Doc-Ock is the first time I recall like, oh, Alfred Molina is this person. And then it's like, oh man, he was like so compelling. It's like, is he in other stuff? And you look it up. It's like he was Sepito in Indiana Jones, and I want to say that was his first acting credit.
I think that was
early on.
His first acting credit. But I reckon it's weird because I watched the indie movies so much growing up. When I saw the Spider-Man trailer where he was in it the first time, I was like, oh my god, that's Sepito! Like,
it's that guy. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I was really, I kind of, it's like, oh, that was cool, with that trailer drop at the end. But there is one thing we don't have on this list, and I'm not sure if we talked about it on the last episode.
Okay.
We may have, but that Ghostbusters trailer.
Oh yeah, that dropped. A couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I was like, ooh this looks interesting.
God.
This looks interesting.
You have
me interested.
I love the angle. I love it's Egon's kid or grandkid, whatever.
Yeah.
And good old Ray. We're closed.
yeah, we're closed.
Yeah, I think we did talk about it now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, that stuff. But the next one you have on, I actually just caught this before we started recording, and I am so jazzed. Is this going to be a Disney Plus thing as well?
Yes. So jumping to the other side of Disney Plus, we got the Visions trailer, which is the next Star Wars related content that's dropping. Because I don't think we get. I'm trying to think. I think the next outside of Bad Batch just finished.
Yeah,
and I want to say the Book of Boba Fett, I think, is the next thing we get in terms of stuff. But until then, we have. I think maybe there's one or two other things, but Visions is the next thing. So basically,
it looks so good.
Yeah. Oh, look, it looks amazing, and it's basically, think of it like the Matrix animated series. If anyone's seen that.
That was so great and so underrated. Enough people did not see that Enter the Matrix. Or no, what was it called? The Animatrix.
Yeah, you're right. I was like, what is the name of this stupid thing? Animatrix, yeah.
That was so fucking good.
And it's set up in kind of the same way in that it's like a whole bunch of little stories within, basically the Star Wars universe. I think most of them, if not all of them, are done by Japanese animated studios, I believe.
Yes, it's all prominent Japanese animation studios.
Exactly. Now, I'm curious to see how they're going to present this, like, because the trailer I watched was on an English thing, and they had like basically subtitles in Japanese.
Yeah, it was subtitles with Japanese audio.
I would love for it to be that's the way it's presented, or at least an option to be able to see it that way, because again, it's just like you get that expression through the original voice actors and whatnot.
I would suspect that that's how it's going to be. And I would even venture a guess to say that was probably part of the condition / contract.
Wouldn't surprise me.
From the animation studios in Japan, that they would have to be able to provide, their voice actors that they work with as at a minimum as an option. And I'm so glad, like, if that's the case, I'm glad, because like you said, you watch that trailer and it's like, fuck, that so works for Star Wars.
Oh yeah, and yeah, it's like one of them. Like again, once we probably see like the actual episodes, they'll probably be make a lot more sense.
Sure.
One of them was definitely like straight up like something like a Kurosawa movie. Like it was like
yes. Oh my god.
like so straight up like I don't know how they're gonna tell it. Is it gonna be like something like akin to I say the Old Republic, but it's like it's like very ancient times.
Pre-Clone Wars.
Yeah. Well, obviously, like we're talking like ancient Star Wars. So like,
I would love that.
Beyond the Old Republic.
Love that.
Yeah. So it's like, are they going to set it up like that? Because that's the way it made it look. They have others that look very, I say modern in the sense of like the current, prequel original trilogies, timeline looks like as well. So, again, it's going to, tell these various stories, I think, again, within Star Wars. And it's like, yeah, sign me up. I mean, it looks great. I always love a good Star Wars story. And it's like, yeah, bring on more.
Yeah, I'm game. I'm all in. It looks awesome.
And I have no idea actually when that is dropping. I was so like, this is awesome.
Do your check while we move on to release highlights.
All right.
There is some good stuff this week. Quake Remastered dropped like out of nowhere. I don't remember hearing anything about this coming. It's on Game Pass. And
September 22nd. Jumping back, September 22nd. So end of in 1 month. 1 month. Yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah, I was actually playing Quake on my Series X like yesterday, and having a blast. It's still a great fucking game, and unlike many other versions of it that have come out since the original release, this actually has Trent Reznor's original soundtrack on it, which is wonderful. He also, for those who don't know, actually did the voice of the main character, Ranger.
Yeah.
But yeah, and on the PC they actually released Quake 1, 2, and 3, and on Game Pass, so that's great. But yeah, so I was playing some Quake Remastered, super cool. Another one that dropped today, and I have to say I've never played the series, but always wanted to because it looked really cool. And now we can play both games. But Psychonauts 2 dropped today. That is on Game Pass, and that's a pretty famous platformer. At least the first one was. That was a big game when it came out. So I'm kind of like, I might have to dive into this series sometime soon. So there's that. But the one I was surprised you didn't mention, and I've been watching this one this week, and I'm very tempted to grab this, is Aliens Fireteam Elite.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about this when it was first announced. I want to say E3, maybe pre-E3.
We did talk about
it. At least made the radar. It made the radar, and you're right. We haven't talked about it. I've been keeping an eye on it this week as they've done. Is it a pre-release stuff or whatever?
No, I think it's out now.
Oh, is it out now? Okay.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings on it. I have mixed feelings.
Thoughts? So
obviously, I love the Aliens franchise, but and I kind of saw that, in the lead up trailers that, they did do like pre-release, I guess maybe a week ago or so. But I have watched some streams this week, and I guess it's out this week. I don't know if it fully captures the Aliens experience. And watching more of the streams makes me lean more heavily into that, because in the lead up, basically, it's like, okay, it's like, you kind of catch on these little tricks that they do. Like,
I know where you're going with this.
Very fast edits. They didn't show a lot, but they showed enough to make me like go, huh, and look into a little more. My biggest thing was, not biggest thing, but it's several things all at once. So one of it is, I do like the horde modes. Like, I love a good horde mode.
Sure.
But when you kill every single enemy, like a weird X shows up over their head. Now, obviously, it's indicating that you killed them. But it's just, I don't know. That was like the first of the jankiness that I started to see.
Yeah, that's immersion breaking.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a digital readout, so it's not like they don't make it look like horribly out of place, but it's like I've never seen a game like that. You look at any other game, and
it's like they're fucking dead, dude. We don't need the hint.
Yeah, it's like, and you'll see like the X is enormous. Like it's not like over their bodies; it's like above their heads type of thing. And I don't know, it's just really weird. And the more I looked into it, it's like the more flags I started to see, and. Mm-hmm. I hate to discourage people from something like this, but it's like at the same time, I feel like it's a warning, because when I looked it up, like they have season passes that you have to buy in order to get the stuff, and to boot, you have to basically get like the collector's edition the deluxe, Prebo edition, which is like something like $70-$80 or something like that.
Ew.
For content they haven't, like for a roadmap, like they're playing more seasons, and they're telling us nothing about it.
Yeah, no,
And
that ain't gonna fly with me.
yeah, it's like I've been down this road before. Like I have no problem if you've completely done your roadmap and
Yeah,
it's like
show me the roadmap and I'll
yeah,
decide if I want to pay for it.
exactly. But at the same time, it's like I hate paying for season content. It's like, oh, it's like I've done it, especially on a full price game. Like if this was like, we were talking earlier about the Black for Blood, if this was like a $40 game like Predator,
This is a $40
price
game.
Yeah, like if this is and that's the thing. I think the full price I think is
the full price
55
is
or 60.
No,
sorry, for Aliens.
Yeah, Aliens Fireteam Elite is $39.99.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so it is a $40 game, but okay, but that's the thing. Yeah, basically it cranks it up to like 70 or 80 to get the full deluxe version, which gives you access to all the coming DLC, which is you're going to need to play anything beyond the core levels essentially.
I'm seeing like an average rating of 70, and the reviews I'm seeing are in two camps. One is it's not a great Aliens game.
And that was the other kicker. Like watching it, it's like the aliens, like they didn't really feel like aliens.
They don't give you the terror. Like
yeah, there was no terror, and I realized like it's based off of the Aliens, the James Cameron version, but that still had some terror to it. Like there's still oh my god, this thing's coming at me, but it throws so much at you in terms of the alien.
Like a horde mode, it doesn't really work for the canon. Like to me. Like you saw what it took for them to fucking take down the xenomorph. Yeah,
exactly. Like and like look at Alien Isolation. Like Alien Isolation is like a pinnacle of granted it's not multiplayer. But yeah, that is Alien, and I think it even incorporates some of the Aliens aspect into it. Spoiler alert later on. Like you are in sheer dread terror when you see more than one on screen.
Oh yeah, dude.
And and just watching the. Yeah, and the way it's like I was watching, it's like, oh, this doesn't make sense, and like I almost feel like it would have been better because there's one call to throwaway line or whatever in Alien Alien 2 where they say, "Is this another bug hunt?" It's like, okay, clearly they've been to planets and are used to like
they've done this before.
Yeah, dealing with alien or getting rid of something. Obviously, not the Xenos specifically,
right?
Because they get their asses kicked, but. Like they're used to dealing with something out within the alien universe. So it's like, why aren't you fighting those? And then like the Xenos show up as more your boss, or again, it adds to that terror. But I'm watching these games and like it looks like a standard horde mode, and it's just like the aliens just keep coming, and there's a few variations, but just. I'm falling into the camp of it's like it just doesn't feel like Aliens.
I'll wait for a sale.
yeah, like I think that's what it boils down. It's like wait for sale. I don't think it's on Game Pass. Yeah, this one where it is not on Game Pass. But if it was, then it's like I would download it. Play a couple levels, have some fun. But yeah, it's just like it wasn't getting me. Like it's just like and the last kicker, and I hate to do this because there's plenty of studios that produce games as their first run, but this is the studio's first run at it, and it's more the fact that anytime it's the studio's first run with a licensed product, it usually means they're the lowest bidder, and it's a red flag. It's not a as soon as that happens, it's a kill all. But that combine that with the fact that you have to pay for all these seasons, and just the weirdness of how it looks or it looks / plays. It's like it's adding up to be a whole lot of like this looks like a quick cash out. It's like, okay, let's capitalize on the Alien franchise fan base and then cash out.
Yeah,
and I hate to do that because like I was initially interested in the lead up, and I know several others, but as soon as I started talking to them and they looked and saw the same things, like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Like this is just weird. It's like it's at this point I'd say it's a wait and hold off. Wait for a sale.
See if it lasts.
Exactly. See if it lasts. Absolutely. Wait for like a Game Pass. Wait for it to like go on super sale or something because I don't know. It's just rubbing me the wrong way.
Yeah, there's a Vampire the Masquerade game coming to early access in like 2 weeks called Bloodhunt, and I was actually talking to the devs on Twitter because I had said I said, I'm really hesitant about this game because there's the whole thing with Vampire the Masquerade called The Masquerade, and the game is a battle royale. And I was like, how do you have a masquerade of not showing vampires off to humanity when it's a fucking battle royale?
Right.
But they had a really cool response, and it was like, like you're basically playing as Camarilla, and then anyone playing with you that's against you is going to be these vampire clans and vampires that have violated the masquerade, and the Camarilla hunt them down. So it was like, all right, I can get behind that. So like, it's another one. I'm gonna wait and see, and we'll go from there. I might even see if they'll pass me a code so I can check it out. But that's up to them. But anyway, we got to get on to news because holy fucking shit.
The dumpster fire is still burning.
Not only still burning, it's heating the fuck up. Did you see the latest? So we're talking about Blizzard, of course.
Of course, yeah. It's still news, still in its death spiral, dumpster fire.
Big fucking news too. So California has expanded its anti-discrimination lawsuit against Activision Blizzard, adding temporary temp workers to the female full-time employees of whom it is suing on behalf. That's big. Secondly, the State Department of Fair Employment and Housing also alleges the game maker has interfered with its investigation.
I did see that. Yeah, it's like, our pants on fire.
Yeah, throughout the a copy reviewed by Axios specifically mentions that California's protections against anti-harassment, equal pay, and other employment opportunity protections exist for employees in contingent or temporary workers. So that's why they're including temp workers. Secondly, throughout the lawsuit, the word employees has been changed to workers in reference to harassment, blah, blah, blah. But what I was reading here is they also said Activision Blizzard has stymied its efforts through NDAs requiring employees to speak with the company ahead of contacting the DFEH and its involvement with Wilmer Hale, the union-busting law firm we mentioned last time. And they're saying that this directly interferes with the investigation and is an attempt to intimidate witnesses and stymie testimony. Some other developments on this front that I found was interesting. After myself and about 100,000 other people shit on Fran Townsend on Twitter because she was a fucking raging bitch. For those who don't know, she was is the chief of operations at Activision Blizzard. It was her letter that was saying this lawsuit's meritless and it's all overeager state bureaucrats. It was very Trumpish in her tone, and that makes sense considering she's a torture apologist. For the other administrations, but we'll get there. So, Activision, sensing the heat, decided to do the right thing. Wrong. No, all they did was just remove her from her position at like a symbolic position in the company as like the head of women's. It was basically like a women's employee resource group, where it was like fairness for women in the workplace. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? She was the head of that? Like, it's unbelievable. But she's still, she's still the COO. She's still collecting a big paycheck. And it's like you said, this is a death spiral of a desperate company.
I mean, I don't know how they recover. Honestly, I mean, they will because they're a super huge company and it's like one of those, and too big to fail type of thing. But it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt.
It's one of those people. People. It's they're gonna boycott. It's like no, they're gonna make their money on pre-orders and all that shit. But what's gonna happen? What's really gonna happen is they're not gonna get talent. That's what's gonna kill them. Who the fuck wants to work there?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and I think we've said this before. It's going to be a long, slow death, and it's going to be absolutely that. It's going to, they're going to have to, get people either, I say desperate, but like desperate to get into the industry, and or like simply I want to work at Blizzard. So it's like, they get those people. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like quality talent, and I think this is kind of brought up several times in many places, but it's like, with all this happening over the years, like their good talent was basically being like terrorized essentially. And so they couldn't even produce good stuff. And I think that's shown in, probably the last, several like expansions and whatnot from WoW. But, you look at, Activision as a whole, where it's just carbon copy spit out and, there's no soul to it, if you will.
No. And again, you're seeing a lot of this. I would credit to COVID, believe it or not, but you're actually seeing a lot of people now demanding, better treatment. Like people are realizing, like, shit, life is not permanent, and I'm not going to go, and sit in an office and fucking work myself to death. And
Yeah.
you see it with, companies doing this, that are doing the smart thing, offering, hybrid remote, or, if you want to wear full remote, go ahead, like giving that flexibility. And you're seeing the gaming industry, like, look at Supergiant Games. Like, they're my pinnacle of what we all used to think CD Projekt Red which was, oh, we don't believe in crunch. Fuck you, you didn't. But Supergiant Games has actually really walked the walk. Bashed in it, but they're not cranking out 5 games a year. But I think there's a reason why, and you see that, like, they're releasing high quality stuff. Bastion, phenomenal game. Transistor, phenomenal game. And of course, probably one of the best games of the past 15 years, Hades. And like, people are seeing this. Talented people are seeing this, and they're gonna be like, why would I want to go to work for Blizzard when I can go to work for Supergiant Games and make a fucking amazing game that could potentially make history and not kill myself doing it? So, I honestly, barring some kind of miracle shift in tone and company culture, it might be a long, slow death, but I think Blizzard's time is definitely on the board.
Yep. And the last thing, as with all this stuff, the question is, like, how long before the internet forgets, type of thing? Because we all know the internet has a memory of a goldfish. So it's like,
for sure.
It's like, how long before, like, the raging fires die down, and we may have spoke about this last time, or maybe had this conversation with other people, but basically it kind of boils into I think, like, more or less 3 camps. There's the ones who absolutely do not care and just will keep on trucking. Sure. The ones that are, I say, on the fence, and they're more like, okay, they don't like what's going on, so they'll either stop playing for a little bit, or cut subscriptions or what have you. But like, as soon as it dies down, or it's like they got to get their fix again, they got to go back. They will go back, rather. Sure. And then there's the third camp that is like, this is it. They are completely out. They're cutting all tethers, and jumping out.
And again, I think this goes back to what we were just talking about. I don't think it's going to be this thing that'll be the boycott that hurts them. It's not going to be that. It's going to be, they're going to lose the quality talent, and they're going to churn out a bunch of shit. Yeah. And it's just going to get to the point, like, the next release is going to be garbage, and people are going to be tired of it. You're going to see, like, WoW continue to bleed out, and you're going to see, their cash cows continue to, again, sell less and less and less, because nobody's going to want to work there. Yeah. And even if you get the desperate people that want to work there, sure, you run the chance that one of them is a genius, or a couple are geniuses, and they strike gold. But the chances of that happening, especially now, again, people are a lot more self-aware of what goes on in the gaming industry, and there are people that just, there are opportunities to get into the gaming industry and not kill yourself doing it. So, again, barring a major shift, that's going to be what kills them. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, this next one is all you, man. I've been reading the fucking articles on this. I'm like, wow, they are just trying to piss their players off.
In the world of dumpster fires. World of Warships. I brought it up here before, I think, not too long ago. I explained my own reasons for kind of getting out of it. Well, they continue to double down on the idiocy. And again, again, this is another situation of, like, a whole slew of things are all adding up, and the players and whatnot are having enough. Now, this isn't devs this time walking out. This is the players and community contributors walking out on World of Warships. Basically, it all came to a head. So it's a whole series of events have happened up to this. Basically, there's a community contributor called Little White Mouse, and for those who follow the community contributors as a whole, and kind of the program, she is one of the most dedicated to understanding how the game works. Like,
I don't even play the game much, and I knew who she was.
Yeah. It's just like, basically, like, if there was she would do, like, every single ship coming out, or I should say premium ship. I think she even did some of the tech tree ships, but it was a premium ship coming out. She would absolutely do her homework. She would literally sit in practice matches and fire constantly just to get the sigma values of
Yeah.
the ship that she was checking out, speeds, turn rates, you name it. She had a graph and numbers for it. So she knew her stuff inside out. The problem is she would often call on wargaming, call warships out on their bullshit. And they did not like that, especially being Russian. They don't like that. And it came to a head. Basically, I think she was calling their shit out, and basically the dev was like, respect my authority. And she's like, you know what? I'm out, because about maybe less than a month ago, it came out that her and one of her I say co-workers, but co-testers, I should say, were involved with, or at least supposedly involved with the new Canadian battleship. Now that's called it's what we call a paper ship. There obviously is no Canadian battleship.
Right.
But the idea was like, what you go, it's a what if scenario of like, what if the Canadians had built or the British Navy would have given them a battleship. And they were under the impression from like another one of the actual employees, reached out to him and say like, hey, would you like to work on this ship? And it wasn't necessarily the stats or anything, but it would be like the history, the camo, what would this ship be? And they apparently this 1.5 year long process of like, working on, and working with this person, and they get to the end and they find out that, in Wargaming, now this person was in Wargaming, I think, the Wargaming America side.
Yeah.
Ultimately, all the decisions are done on Wargaming St. Petersburg in Russia. So St. Petersburg, holds all the reins, essentially.
Yeah.
They fire back and say, well, guess what? No, you're not involved with this at all. We're just releasing it under whatever other our auspices are. And it like, again, it's like kind of like no soul to it. There's no, like, cause like you look at their version, it's like, wow, that's great. They did the research, it's like, like, based off of the Yukon, and they have this whole like paragraph and all this other stuff. And like, you look at the version that's coming out from Wargame, it's like, are you serious? Like right now, like use their stuff. It's like, if they have to like, and they're citing all sorts of like, it's like, contracting and blah, blah, and copyright, blah, blah, blah. It's like, just have them sign something saying like, it's like, hey, we want, quote unquote, won a contest or something. And it's like, we realize like we don't hold copyright or anything like that to it. No royalty rights or whatever. And it's just like release it with just, putting their name on it type of thing.
Give them some credit.
Exactly. Nope. Can't have that. So that had happened before. And so that really pissed her off. And so we fast forward to like, respect my authority. And it's like, you know what? You haven't learned your lesson. I'm out. And suddenly all the other CCs start following suit. It's like, this has been a pattern of just complete abuse and, being used up. And all this other,
you're not going to have a game soon.
Exactly. So they're jumping ship. All sort, like, granted, I've already been out of the game, like,
you've been out for a while,
1.5 years, but I'm, I still watch like, the community popcorn away. It's like, holy crap. Now, again, this is another situation where chances are this is, maybe 10% of the actual player, population is invested in what's happening. The rest will probably have like, again, they fall into those 3 camps of like, not a clue, don't care. There's probably someone on the fence that will still go back, and it's their livelihood. And then, the others that are, cutting rope and getting out,
Sure.
But yeah, it's just like, again, another situation where it's just like the company is taking, they're
not helping yourself.
Their customers / their players, they're taking them for granted. And it's like, totally. There's other things too. So that, whoops, in the mic. But basically, they're selling. Wargaming is notorious for their loot boxes. Like, what was it? 2 years ago when the EU started? I think it was started in Amsterdam. Started making like loot boxes illegal.
Yeah.
Almost overnight, the gaming industry as a whole got rid of loot boxes. Like, it's like they're still out there. Probably, obviously Wargaming, but for the most part, the main like AAA's got rid of them. Like you don't have that anymore. I think they found their new cash cow, which is kind of the FOMO / season pass stuff.
Pass,
yeah, exactly.
Pass.
Yeah, they figured out a new way to milk the players that isn't, gambling. Well, Wargaming sticks to their guns, and it's like, yeah, loot boxes left and right. They're re-releasing the USS Missouri, which
I saw that.
Yeah. Now, the USS Missouri in game, I should say, has a very storied history. I suggest look up the real history. The real history of the Missouri is also very fascinating as well. But the in-game history, many years ago, like 3-4 years ago, I know I got it. If you originally got it, you were able to get it for basically like free XP. You had to kind of grind your brains out, but you could get it for complete free. It had a money booster to it, like basically it broke the economy. Because it gave you so much money credits per match that it's like, you could fund your Navy, forever and a day. So they quickly had to like cut off being able to get it, and it's like, okay, it became a very limited ship, and or you just couldn't get it, period. Fast forward to basically in the past week or so, and it's like, oh, we're re-releasing it, but it's in this loot box that I think, well, I should say the original iteration was like, it was in a loot box that you had no idea when you were going to get it. It's just like you had to keep pulling the lever of the one-armed bandit and seeing if you got it. And so immediately the players are already backlashing about it, and then the little white mouse thing goes down, and they all this entire time they're giving half-hearted apologies, very just like corporate cookie cutter. It's like like they're not remorseful whatsoever. I think just in the past week or so they released the newest way to get the Missouri. You have to play like 15 matches, and then you get the chance to get it within, I think, 75 boxes. And someone worked out, basically it boils down to, if it's in the last box, you're paying $400 for this thing.
That is fucking crazy.
In order to get it. Now, you're keeping it sooner, but it's like,
the damn thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's gambling at its very core. And maybe a lot of people wouldn't have too much problem with it if it was marketed. The game was like, more, I'd say probably higher than teen, but it's rated for like 7-year-olds and up as part of its ESRB / PEGI rating. Yeah, so it's just like, whoa, pump the brakes here. It's like, granted the demographic is, I think, like 30-year-olds and up, whatever, but that does not negate the fact that ultimately 7-year-olds can be playing this game, and it's like you are hands down teaching these kids gambling. It's like, yeah,
it's fucked up.
Yeah, it is. Damn Russian. And the bummer part is, and like I always kind of forlorn it myself, and then I remember like, oh yeah, it's, big pile of shit running it. I enjoyed the game mechanically.
Oh yeah, it was a great game.
It was a fun game. It's like I knew I could get in 15, maybe 20-minute match. I knew exactly how long it would be for a match, and it's like, how much time do I have the time for that? Perfect. Let me get one or two matches in or whatever. And it was fun to play, and it was the community is great.
Yeah,
but it's just like, it's like the management is just like drove me bonkers. Like like again, I don't want to go into the whole tirade, but it's like I hated the FOMO, I hated the loot box system they were implementing way back, or I should say the early access loot boxes. So it's basically the tech tree you would quote unquote get for free if you grind it normally, or you could buy these loot boxes that would unlock maybe tiers of the ships in the tier. It's like, and it's like, I've had enough. And a year and a half ago I was like logged out for the last time. It's like, really haven't looked back. It's like, I wish there was a better game that I could play that ran by better people, but it's like, oh man, this is like, I cannot stand the management,
and it's only gonna get worse.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I will move on to the next element here.
I get off my soapbox.
Yeah, no, it's so true though. It's so fucking true though. But yes, Xbox from the Microsoft Showcase for GamesCom, Flight Simulator is getting the Reno Air Race later this year. I am equally pumped. I know you and I have talked about this before.
Oh yeah.
But yes, the ability, like, we're gonna have competitive air races in Flight Simulator. I cannot wait. That's gonna be so fun.
Exactly, and this is what I was hoping for. It's like, I don't know if they had them in the other Microsoft Flight Sims. I don't think they really did, or if they were, they're kind of modded or like community held type of thing. But yeah, like they're doing the Reno Air Race as part of it. They were kind of advertising with like Mustangs and whatnot. It's like, yes, this is perfect. So it's obviously it's not super arcadey because it's realistic flight sim. And it's like, this is perfect. And this is what I was hoping for. Like, can we get something like this in like obviously there's people who just want to fly. No problem with that. Like let them do that. It's like, but can we get like a some I say a game, some form of a game inside the game, the sim?
Microsoft is smart, man. When it comes to this shit, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's like it's exactly that. Like, can we have like an air show or something? All like you look at like the Rocketeer or something like that. It's like that's what it looks like we're getting. So it's like yes, it's like perfect.
I'm so stoked.
Yeah, so it's like sign me up. I will absolutely be checking that out. They did tease like the Maverick one, but apparently that has to be synced whenever the movie comes out, and I don't know if the movie is got a release date yet. So it's like, but yeah, like again, it's awesome to see them support this and see kind of adding a game layer to
they've
the
added
simulation.
like 6 free world packs that you can download.
Oh yeah, insane! Like it's awesome. Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, I mean, like you said here, like when there's some DLCs, the Forza teases. Forza still looks good. The fruit stripe gum controller was interesting.
Oh man, they've been going like basically almost every single Microsoft game. Halo has one. Forza has one. It's like, man, they're just going all out with these custom controllers.
Yeah, and speaking of Halo, Infinite comes out December 8th. I'm super pumped. It looks awesome. It's going to be a ton of fun to play. I had some coworkers that did get a chance to play. They did like a tech preview or something for a day.
Yeah, I wasn't able to play it myself, but apparently it's looking good.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm totally stoked to play it. But all right, we'll kind of start wrapping things up here. I was gonna play a voicemail from Fred, but I actually might have to let my dog out in a minute before he shits on the rug.
Okay.
So, just again, if you want to call us and leave a voicemail, you can call us 610-810-1654. Conclusions, final thoughts and shout outs. Obviously, big shout out to the fans, our boys over at Bad Fodder Figures, Denny and crew at Tap the Craft. Love you guys. I'm slowing up on beer just because I'm really working on the weight loss. Doing pretty good with that, and beer is very counterproductive to that. But whiskey's not, so I still enjoy one of those on every now and then. But yeah, if you want to hang out with us, you can go to the save point at tiny.cc/savepoint. You can email us, theretrorents@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter at RetroRentsAl. The show is at The Retro Rents. And Nick is at Black Eagle Ops. Nick is also Black Eagle Ops on Twitch. And do you have anything coming up on Twitch that you want to share?
No, I don't think anything big right now. I know the Icarus open beta weekends are coming up. I think September, I think. I have to look at the dates that they have leading up for that. So I think it was one of the games we mentioned. So they are splitting that. So obviously it would have released by now with the original date that they have, but they felt like they need a little more cook time. So they're going to turn in some beta weekends over the next couple months. And then I think the release date is now set for December, early November, mid-December, something like that.
That game looks so cool. I can't wait to actually jump in on that.
Yeah, I'm eager to check it out myself.
Before we go, because you might have followed this more than me, did that dragon game die?
Oh, no, I think it went back into development hell because the last I saw of it was like, it's like, what, we're gonna, after that beta weekend, they're like, oh, we're gonna, need to work on some stuff, and
which made no sense. That was fun as fuck. I had so much fun playing that.
I know, right? I need to look up and see if there's any updates. I haven't seen any updates for it yet, so question mark.
What was that?
Age of Century?
Age of Ashes. I'm just gonna again. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything on it.
Plan 2021. I don't think they have any. Like, I haven't heard anything big.
I haven't heard a thing since we played it last.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right, that's interesting. Anyway, folks, this will wrap up on a sad note. That game might be dead, which would really be sorry because that game was super fun. That was really fun, and I loved the dragon egg hatching, all that stuff. That was going to be so cool. But yes, this will wrap up episode 78. Thank you all, as always, for listening. If you enjoy the episode, give us one of those 5-star ratings on iTunes. It really helps us out. I'm actually looking at transferring us over to Anchor, I think it's called.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking into that. I just want to make sure we preserve all our episodes, and there's ways to do that. And I talked to Travis, and there's a way to do that. So keep an eye out for something on that soon. That's really all the fault of our friends that we did the panel at Lockdown Con. The nerd couple had mentioned it, and I started doing my research, and it looks pretty sweet. So I'm gonna look into that. And oh shit! And then one quick update before we split. I was actually talking to Uncle Neil, the great Neil Halford, as I call him. But no, I was talking to Neil on Facebook the other day. I know we had mentioned that there was the potential for us to be included on the Comic-Con panels, but he actually made the decision for Lockdown Con. He did not want to, and I'm 100% behind this. He did not want to jump on the Comic-Con wagon this year. Just, I think, feeling pretty strongly that with like COVID being what it is, that being
just too early still. Yeah,
it's a bit too early, and he didn't really want to contribute to that. And I totally get that, and I'm behind it. I think this is not over yet. So, unfortunately, we won't be in Comic-Con, but I really do encourage you, if you haven't seen the Lockdown Con 2 videos, check it out on YouTube. Like Nick said, the Star Trek panel was awesome fun.
Mm-hmm.
Our panel with the podcasters was a ton of fun. It was such a great group. And I just wanted to push Lockdown Con 2 one more time, because that really was a great time. And I think all of you would really enjoy it. So check it out. Other than that, again, we are going to wrap up the episode for real this time. And as we always say, as we are, ending this episode, have fun, y'all. Play games. And don't be dicks.
Peace.
Okay. It appears Craig is still with us.
Oh, boy.
Thank
Hold on to your butts.
Bye, Craig.